Come on. Come on over. Come on over. Let's talk about what the hell just went down. Oh my God. What an incredible game we just witnessed. Georgia, Alabama going down to the wire. I honestly still can't believe what we just watched. Wow. I mean, I was going to talk USF and I'm still going to talk USF, but guys and gals, wow. I'm flabbergasted. I still don't really understand what we just watched. One of the greatest college football games, maybe of, I don't know if that's hyperbole or not. I don't really care, but that was freaking insane. I cannot believe we just watched that game. Welcome to Recher Reacts. It's been a couple of days. I hope everybody is well. Obviously, out due to the hurricane and everything that was going on. We were on storm coverage. Everybody that's tuning in, um, if you were affected by the hurricane, man, our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody over there. Um, Man, we've seen some just incredibly awful things, but we're going to put that behind us. We're going to talk a little bit of the storm maybe later on this week for Jay and Zach, but tonight it is all about college football. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I am everywhere. And check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/@ jrecher10. um, like and subscribe. Every like and subscription counts. I want to hear from you. Did you just watch that game? Did you just watch that game between Georgia and Alabama? And that game hits differently for me because I was able to go to Bryant Denny Stadium a couple weeks ago to watch Alabama against USF and to be just a small speck of humanity for that game and to look out into the crowd and see 100,000 people. It was unlike anything I've ever seen. And I've seen games in a lot of different venues all across the world, World Series games, WrestleManias, Stanley Cup finals, Super Bowls, but to be there at that venue to watch a game, to watch the Alabama Crimson Tide it's in a league of its own. It really is. And to watch what we saw tonight, it just hit differently. It really did. Alabama, the number 4 team in the country, beats the number 2 team in the country, the Georgia Bulldogs, 41-34. That is a game that people are going to look back and you're always going to remember where you were when you watch this game. And again, if you're watching me right now, leave your questions, comments, concerns, everything wrong. Just leave it below. Let's have a conversation. What did you make of that game? Um, I just, it's still, I'm kind of at a loss for words. The first half was just an incredible output from Alabama and Jalen Milroe. He was on point, whether it was throwing the football, whether it was running the football. He just could not be stopped. After one quarter of play, Alabama up 21-0, and they were cruising. Georgia was on their heels. There was nothing that they could do. Carson Beck, who I've been very vocal in thinking like, maybe he's more of a byproduct of everything that's around him. Um, but I came away very impressed with Carson Beck tonight. Now, does he have some faults? Yes. But the way that he was able to lead this Georgia Bulldogs team back, especially there in the fourth quarter, not giving a shit what was going on, not giving two craps about they were behind, what the night was looking like, what kind of defenders the Alabama had. He just stepped up in the pocket and he led that team all the way back. And Georgia took the lead in the fourth quarter. Insane. Carson Beck, 27 to 50, did throw 3 picks, but 3 touchdowns and 439 yards. You're putting up 430 plus yards against an Alabama defense. That is very impressive. Same thing on the other side. Jalen Milroe, 27 of 33, 374 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also ran for a buck 17 and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Amazing. Amazing. And I think a couple of reasons why is because there's just so much elite talent on that football field tonight. So much elite talent. You're watching this game and thinking to yourself, a lot of these guys are going to be playing on Sunday. And the plays that were made, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when you look at this kid, when you look at Ryan Williams, 6 catches for a buck 77, and that touchdown, the winning touchdown there in the fourth quarter. This kid's 17 years old. I am twice as old as Ryan Williams. I nuts, nuts. The composure that kid has had all year long, but in this game specifically, very impressive. Very impressive. And I mean, you look back again to the first half. Milrow runs in a touchdown. Jam Miller gets a pass from Jalen, and then Bernard. So you're looking 21 nothing, and then Milrow runs another one in on fourth down, out to the right, down the right sideline. It is 28 nothing, and where do they go from there? Like, just Georgia packing in is, I mean, all the questions were being asked of Carson Beck and Kirby Smart, and people were even asking, oh, do you go to the backup in this situation? And they just kind of stayed with it after they go down 28 nothing. The thing that was impressive to me is that they didn't freak out. They stayed running the football. Trevor Etienne had some big runs. He punches it in from 7 yards out. It's 28-7. Then Carson Beck throws, he gets called for intentional grounding in his own end zone. So it's 30-7 going into the half. And you can kind of tell when you look at a guy like Kirby Smart and he's doing the interview as he's walking to the locker room there at the half, and he did not stress out whatsoever. He seemed like a guy that was cool, calm, and composed, and he just knew that you just got to stay with it. There is enough talent on that football team where you don't have to freak out. You're not going to get all of these points back at once. You just have to start chipping away one at a time, one at a time. And that's what they do. 15 plays, 80 yards. And it ends with a Smith TD pass from Carson Beck to make it 30-15. They even get the two-point conversion to make it 30-15. After giving up the field goal, then the fourth quarter, you start wondering, okay, can Georgia have one last gasp at making this thing a ball game? And that's exactly what they do. Lucky with an 8-yard touchdown reception, Dylan Bell with a 3-yard run, and then the 67-yard pass from Carson Beck to Dylan Bell. I mean, 2 minutes and 31 seconds left in that game, and Georgia took a 34-33 lead. And we were on the way to seeing the biggest comeback in Georgia history, the biggest comeback between top five teams going at it in history. And it only took one play for Jalen Milrow and Ryan Williams to just turn everything on its head. A 75-yard pass for the touchdown. They hit the 2-point conversion, so it ends 41-34. But easily one of the most memorable football games that you're ever going to see. I mean, you think about in your lifetime. I mean, it's one thing when you talk about games for your team, right? I don't necessarily have like I guess it's USF because, I've worked with them and they're here in the Tampa Bay area, but I didn't grow up like a Gator fan or a Florida State fan or anything like that. But there's games that I remember. There's games that stick out to me that will live with me forever, regardless of who my favorite team is. And a couple of those games are the Fiesta Bowl between, who was it, Oklahoma and Boise State, where they ran the hook and ladder and the Statue of Liberty and won that. And then Ian Johnson, the running back, proposed to his girlfriend. That's something that lives with you forever. Also, the kick six, Auburn and Alabama. I was asleep on my parents' couch in New York, and I wake up right as Alabama was lining up for the kick, and boom, it's history. Like 2 minutes later, like it's wild to remember that game. And this is going to be on that short list for me. This game right here, where you, this was the game that everybody was looking forward to all weekend. Everybody knew Tuscaloosa. Hell, when we were there a couple weeks ago, one of the security guards was telling me, "Son, this is going to be an interesting game tonight. We got a lot of respect for Alex Skolish and what happened last year at your place, but that game in a couple weeks when Georgia comes here is where everybody's looking towards." And he said it in the most respectful way possible, and I got it. I understood it, and everybody knew. I mean, I had this game circled for a month. I could not wait for this game. 7:30 today. I didn't miss a snap. This is what sports is all about. This is what college football is all about. When people say college football is the best sport, like this is like, I think you can poke holes in maybe a lot of other sports. But after days like today, when people say college football is the best, it's like, it's hard to argue, man. There's so much drama. There's so much elite talent. There's so many. I mean, these kids are so young. I mean, think about they're freaking teenagers. And you have these coaches in these venerable programs, and you're talking about Georgia and Alabama and the battles that they've had in the SEC. They've played against each other in national championships, and then you have a game like this. This is just another chapter in the history books of this rivalry. This is a game that I won't soon forget, and I know a lot of people out there agree with that sentiment. Jalen Milrow and Carson Beck, my hat goes off to you. My hat goes off to Kalen DeBoer and Kirby Smart for everything that they did. Wow, that is the way to kind of, and I don't want to say end because I know there's a couple other games going on right now, but after a very crazy day in college football with some other endings, uh, that was just, that took the cake, man. What an incredible outcome. What a great game. Um, and I can't wait to talk about this again on Monday as well with my guy Zach Blobner on Jay and Zach starting at noon on WDAE. Your questions, your comments, your concerns, please feel free to leave them there at the bottom of the screen. We will talk about it here on the program today. Wow, what a game. Still hard to fathom what we just watched. Like and subscribe on YouTube, guys, because that is a huge thing as well as we try to get this message out there and continue to grow the brand. All right, let's flip the script. Let's switch gears now and let's talk about the USF Bulls. And I got to be honest, right? USF fans have every right to be mad about what happened today against Tulane. They have every right to be mad. Fans thought things were going to be different. You know, they saw how the season ended last year. They saw the bowl game with the shutout over Syracuse. They came into the season with Alex Golish in year two, Byron Brown being a guy that everybody thought was going to be the right man to lead the green goal to heights that we haven't seen in decades. They watched the games against Alabama and Miami, hanging in there before crumbling down to their very core. They thought this game against Tulane would be a legit measuring stick. You know, if you want to call yourself a conference contender, you got to go on the road and you got to make a statement. Now, it doesn't have to be, all right, you're going to win this game. Like, that's, you want to make a statement, right? If you don't win, you don't win, but it's not always, you know, if you win or lose, it's how you win or lose. And I said they got to make a statement. They made a statement, all right. The statement that USF made today is that they're still miles off it, not just for a national title or a spot in the playoff, but for a conference championship as well. It is inexcusable to be down 31-0 in the first half today. Part of the reason why USF fans are so upset today, and they have every right to be, is because we thought we were past that. Just because you're mad today doesn't mean that you don't believe in Alex Golish, you don't believe in Michael Kelly, you don't believe in the team, you're giving up on the team. That doesn't mean that at all. But I speak for, I think, a lot of people where, at the very least, we thought we were past that type of game today, where you're down 31 zip in the first half before you find the end zone. That is not acceptable. Not at all. I'm sorry. Offensively, it looks stale. You know, if it's not Byron Brown dominating on the ground or an abundance of targets for Sean Atkins, this team isn't moving the football. Byram has not progressed throwing the football. He just hasn't. It's a fact. And to make matters worse, he leaves with an injury. He's got, a walking boot on. Luckily, USF is off next week before they get back in action in 2 weeks, but he has not progressed to the level of being one of the better quarterbacks in the country. It's just a fact. I don't think that's an opinion at all. The offensive line is porous. They have yet to have another guy really step up. And don't give me the numbers from today. There is not a legitimate threat on this offense to take the top off the defense to really put, strike fear in the opposition. We just haven't found it. Defensively, better than last year, but really there's only one way to go, but up. Super aggressive early on in the season. The pass rush was better. They have gotten their fair share of turnovers, but when you face a disciplined team like Tulane, they're going to use their aggression against you. Those play action strikes were they were death knells today. And it was Tampa's own, Mario Williams, Plant City's own. Ugly, just an ugly game all around. And again, it's one thing to lose, but it's how you lose. that I think frustrated so many people today in Bulls Nation. I preface this again by saying nobody's giving up on Alex Golish or Michael Kelly or on this team. But if you put your time and your energy and your money to supporting this team and following this team, you have a right to be pissed off today. If you go to Tulane and you lose a hard fought game, hey man, you tip your hat and you move on. But the fact that this team went down 31-0 in the first half, unacceptable. Unacceptable. It's got to be better. The fans deserve better. It's a step in the right direction from what we've seen in years past when this is one of the worst teams in college football. But my God, that is not good. Shout out to Thaw. Appreciate you. Tampa Bay, City of Champs. Hey, Jay, USF shocked me today, but still have faith in this team. Maybe they can turn it around. We will see, man. Also, I just finished watching this insane Georgia-Alabama game. You rock. Keep doing your thing. I appreciate you. Yes, that game, Georgia and Alabama, record book. Record books. I mean, that's one of the things that you're going to see, and you're just going to always be uh, flabbergasted by what just happened. Um, but again, final thing on USF. The season's not over. Okay. Still a bunch of games, especially in conference, left to play. But part of the reason why Alex Golish is here is because it's supposed to be a new culture and a new program here at USF. You understand that there's going to be incremental steps to get to where you want to be. But what you saw today, when USF was down 31 points in the first half, looked a whole hell of a lot like the team that we saw a couple years ago under Coach Jeff Scott. We don't want to go back there. I'll say it again. You have every right to be mad today as a USF fan. That's not good enough. That's not the standard that USF is looking for. And it's on Alex Golish now to look in the mirror and to figure this out because he's been rewarded handsomely after a very successful first year. But we don't want to see that again. I don't want to see that again. That's for sure. I think everybody out there agrees. All right. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms again: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, everywhere. Go check me out there. Like and subscribe if you've never checked me out on YouTube. Let's get to some of the big winners and big losers from today. Um, I'm not going to say anything about the uh, that Georgia Alabama game because I don't necessarily think either. Winners, losers, respect. Respect to both of those teams. All right, but let's get to the big winners and the bigger losers of today. Big winners. We'll start with Colorado. That's a statement win for the Buffaloes. They go into the bounce house and blast Central Florida. The Knights came in averaging over 45 points per game, but the Buffaloes defense did their thing against KJ Jefferson and company. It's more than just Shador and Travis Hunter, even though they were phenomenal again. Shador looking composed, he looking poised in the pocket. Travis Hunter with a touchdown grab and an interception, but the defense balled out too. So, Colorado's coming around, so you have to give them respect. Also, number 16 Notre Dame win over number 15 Louisville 31-24. Riley Leonard accounts for 3 touchdowns and they beat their second top 20 team of the season. Now, you can think they're overrated and they get their undue attention, but you got to give them credit when they win games like today. So, they're going to be facing Army, they're going to be facing Navy. They're both undefeated. They'll see them later on the season as well as a season finale against the USC Trojans. So, let's give respect to, got to put respect on their name when they're doing well because it seems like when Notre Dame, when the Fighting Irish go down, everybody wants to crap all over them. They're just kind of like a cheap target. And also, number 21, Oklahoma. Down 21-10 to Auburn at Jordan Hare. They score 17 unanswered to come away with the victory. What a game that was. All you saw on social media was Oklahoma's going to blow it. Oklahoma's going to lose. I can't believe, it's a big difference. This is the first true test that they're going to have traveling to Jordan Hare. They're going to lose this game. They showed a lot of fight. They showed a lot of resolve, and that That 63-yard interception return from Kip Lewis was a backbreaker for the Tigers. Just an absolute backbreaker for the Tigers. So the Sooners now 4-1, 1-1 in the SEC. They got a big time matchup coming up next week against Texas. All right. The bigger losers. We'll start with Ole Miss. The number 6 Rebels lose 20-17 to Kentucky and Oxford, despite being 15.5 point favorites. I thought they were kind of at like the top of the second tier in the SEC, but this certainly changes things. Kentucky is a pain in the ass, aren't they? I mean, good for them. 2 weeks after losing 13-12 to then number one Georgia, they closed the deal here. And, with a little bit of luck, as Josh Caddis picks up an Ole Miss fumble, picks up a Kentucky fumble near the goal line and falls into the end zone for the game winning TD. Mark Stoops' Wildcats, they're tough. They're a tough group, and they are going to be a hard out all year long. North Carolina up 20-0 in the third quarter, but Duke scores 21 straight to move to 5-0 on the season. A week after giving up 70 points to James Madison, Mac Brown's Tar Heels rightfully reeling after a 3-0 start. And then finally, Florida State. Mike Norvell just keeps running DJ Uiagalelei out there, and they just keep on losing. 42-16, a pick six from DJU. That's got to be it, right? I mean, you have to have some type of mercy for your team and the fan base. You know, I think of what Dave Canales did with the Carolina Panthers and how he sat down Bryce Young and went to Andy Dalton because he felt like he had an obligation to the rest of his team to put the best quarterback out there to try to win every week. And we're not seeing that with Mike Norvell. We're just not. DJ Uiagalelei is not giving them the best chance to win. You have to give Brock Glenn an opportunity. You have to look and see what you have with some of these other guys. It's not fair to the rest of the players on the team to keep running this kid out there. I don't care how much money you paid for him in the portal. You have to try to win games. These fans are out here. I can't believe how many people that I see on social media. They're still watching these games. You must love torture because watching that team play football, it sets you back. If you don't have gray hairs, you will. If you're a Florida State fan and you watch that Seminoles team play, I mean, you're a better man than me. It's tough to watch that freaking team. I want to see them do well, supporting all the teams here in the state of Florida. But my goodness, that is just god awful. All right. Also, Buccaneers, Eagles tomorrow at Raymond James Stadium. We will have a Recher Reacts tomorrow night talking about that game. Unfortunately, Luke Gedeke is going to be out from that game. Concussion protocol. This is why when it comes to injury reports, you usually a large percentage of the people that read these injury reports are not doctors. So if you want to assume that a guy's going to be available for the weekend, um, you're lying to yourself and you're lying to everybody else out there that when you put information out there, it's just not right. Concussions are not something to play with. If Luke Gedeke is going to be out for 3 weeks with a concussion, obviously it's a serious thing. Rashad White also dealing with an illness. Jalen McMillan got banged up at the end of the week. It's going to be a wild game. Devin White inactive because of personal issues. A.J. Brown downgraded. He's not going to be in the game. It's going to be a war of attrition for this game. Only the healthy are going to survive. We know Jalen Hurts will be there. We know Baker Mayfield will be there. We know Chris Godwin and Mike Evans will be there. We know Saquon Barkley will be there. There'll be a lot of backups as well. So we'll see what happens tomorrow at Raymond James Stadium as the Bucs take on the Eagles. Big game for the Bucs with a Thursday night matchup against the Atlanta Falcons looming. All right, guys, it's going to wrap it up for me. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure you follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, all that jazz. And like and subscribe on YouTube as well, because every single like and subscribe helps. What a crazy day in college football. If you're going back and watching this after the fact, feel free to comment there and let me know what you thought was the craziest game of the day or one of the biggest standouts, players or teams to you. All right. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go cut up some videos. I appreciate y'all. Everybody have a great night. We'll see you next time on Recher Reacts. Peace out.